Although different than the manifestation of one's consciousness after death in the form of a Force ghost as achieved by Jedi like Obi-Wan and Yoda, the Sith were well aware of the fact that there existed the possibility that the spirits of dead Sith haunted relics and tombs significant to their order. While Darth Plagueis questioned whether there was truth in the tales of Sith spirits, pointing to the tombs of Korriban specifically, he still wondered whether he could empower himself by seeking out these spirits and learning from them. Darth Sidious, on the other hand, had no hesitation in his belief that Sith spirits were not just real, but should be avoided due to their treachery. However, had both Sith Lords lived 3 millennia earlier, Plagueis and Sidious would have seen undeniable proof that these spirits not only existed, but their power could be channeled and utilized by the most powerful Sith of that era. In this video expose, I will describe the Force ability known as Force Walk, and explain how ancient Sith could use it to bind the spirit of a deceased Sith to themselves and utilize their strength. The ancient Sith technique known as Force Walk was first described by a Sith Lord named Urgist, who lived during the time of the Old Sith Empire. Given that we know that Urgist rose to prominence thousands of years before the Cold War, it's likely that he discovered the Force Walk technique roughly 6,500 to 5,500 years before the era of the films. His discovery of the technique was accidental, as Urgist was instead trying to discover the ritual used by the Dark Lord of the Sith Tulak Hord centuries earlier, wherein he devoured the spirits of his enemies. Instead, Urgist discovered the Force Walk ability, arguably an even greater and more powerful Force technique. Force Walk required its user to have an extremely strong will. Once they discovered the existence of a Force ghost in their presence, the ability allowed the Sith Lord to bind the ghost to themselves. Once the spirit was bound to the Sith after utilizing the Force Walk technique, the Sith could then draw upon both their own power and the power of the ghost, channeling it into a single powerful exertion of Force energy. Ironically, a Force spirit that was unwilling to be bound to the Sith Lord would allow the user to draw upon more power than a spirit that was willing to be bound. Furthermore, if a Sith Lord bound too many spirits at once, they could overwhelm themselves, resulting in physical and spiritual sickness, and a lack of control over their own Force power. Although the Force Walk ability could give its user great power, it didn't make Urgist invincible, and when he died, much of the knowledge of the ability died with him. It wasn't until the conflict known as the Cold War, roughly 3,600 years before the era of the films, that another Sith Lord named Kalig would discover the powerful technique. After visiting his tomb within the Dark Temple upon Dromon Kos, the ghost of Urgist instructed the Sith Inquisitor, and taught him all that he knew about the Force Walk technique. Having an innate gift for Sith sorcery, Kalig would go on to become one of the most proficient users of the Force Walk ability. Not only would Kalig bind the ghost of Urgist to himself, but that of 3 other Sith ghosts as well, joining his mentor as the only Sith who were able to bind more than one ghost to themselves. After channeling the power of these ghosts through the Force Walk ability, Kalig, who would go on to become Darth Nox, confronted and killed his rival Darth Thantanen, and would obtain leadership over the Sphere of Ancient Knowledge. So there we have it. How ancient Sith Lords could channel the power of Force spirits through the Force Walk ability. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter at SW Reading Club for updates regarding the channel. Or support the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive hangouts and book discussions. If not for me... for Darth Mortis.